There comes a moment in every life when the soul grows tired of carrying weight that was never meant to be held. A moment when the heart whispers what the mind has long ignored. You feel it in your chest when laughter turns hollow, when conversations drain you instead of nourishing you, when your spirit grows quiet in the presence of people who once felt like home. This is not weakness. This is wisdom awakening. Some people enter your life as lessons, not lifetimes. They come to teach you where your boundaries should have been, where your self-love was delayed, where your voice was silenced to keep the peace. And once the lesson is learned, the soul begins to ache for distance. You are not cruel for listening to that ache. You are courageous. Toxic people do not always arrive with sharp edges and raised voices. Sometimes they arrive smiling, wrapped in familiarity, cloaked in history. Sometimes they call themselves friends. Sometimes they share your blood. Sometimes they know your wounds and press them gently enough that you doubt your own pain. But make no mistake, anything that requires you to shrink, to doubt your worth, to abandon your truth in order to be accepted is not love. It is a slow erosion of the self. You were not born to be a container for someone else's unresolved anger, insecurity, or fear. You were not placed on this earth to fix what refuses to be healed. There is a difference between compassion and self-betrayal, and many kind hearts learn that difference far too late. They confuse endurance with loyalty, suffering with strength. But strength is not measured by how much pain you can tolerate. Strength is measured by how fiercely you protect your peace. Watch how your body responds around certain people. The body keeps records the mind tries to erase. If your shoulders tighten, if your breath shortens, if your joy feels like an inconvenience in their presence, your body is speaking truth. Listen. You owe your life that respect. Toxic connections thrive on your silence. They grow bold when you explain yourself too much, when you apologize for having needs, when you bend so often that standing straight feels unfamiliar. They benefit from your empathy without offering you safety. And over time you begin to disappear, not all at once, but in small, quiet ways. You stop sharing your dreams. You soften your laughter. You censor your happiness. This is how the spirit dims, not through tragedy, but through constant dismissal. Letting go does not always require confrontation. Sometimes it is a gentle withdrawal, a sacred choosing of distance. Sometimes it is unanswered calls, fewer explanations, longer pauses. Sometimes it is the quiet decision to no longer attend what wounds you. You do not owe everyone access to your inner world. Privacy is not secrecy. Distance is not punishment, it is protection. You may feel guilt rise up when you begin to choose yourself. Guilt is the echo of old conditioning that taught you love must be earned through sacrifice. But real love does not demand self-erasure. Real friendship does not compete with your growth. Real connection celebrates your becoming, even when it means change. There will be people who accuse you of changing when you finally stop tolerating disrespect. Let them talk. You did not change. You remembered who you were before you learned to survive by shrinking. You remembered your worth before it was negotiated away in the name of belonging. Not everyone will understand your decision to walk away. Some will benefit too much from your silence to applaud your strength. Some will miss the version of you that accepted less. But understanding is not required for your healing. Approval is not a prerequisite for your freedom. When you cut toxic people out of your life, you make room for something holy. You create space for peace to enter, for clarity to breathe, for joy to stretch its limbs. At first, the space may feel lonely. Silence can be unfamiliar when chaos has been your companion, but stay with it. There is a difference between loneliness and solitude. One drains you, the other restores you. In that solitude, you begin to hear yourself again. Your laughter returns, not forced, not cautious, but free. Your dreams speak louder. Your intuition sharpens. You remember what it feels like to be respected without explanation, loved without condition, supported without competition. This is not too much to ask. This is the bare minimum of human connection. Some people will try to pull you back with nostalgia. They will remind you of shared memories, of who you used to be together. But memories are not promises. History is not a contract. The past cannot be used to justify a present that harms you. You are allowed to outgrow what once felt essential. Forgiveness may come, but forgiveness does not require proximity. You can release resentment without reopening doors. You can wish someone well without welcoming them back into your life. Forgiveness is an internal act. Boundaries are external. Both can coexist. As you move forward, be gentle with yourself. Grief often accompanies growth. You are not just letting go of people. You are letting go of expectations, of imagined futures, of the hope that they would one day change. Allow yourself to mourn what never was. That grief is honest. It is human. It is part of the healing. And understand this: walking away from toxicity is not an act of hate. It is an act of love. Love for the self that waited too long to be chosen. Love for the future that deserves your full presence. Love for the peace that has been knocking quietly, patiently, all this time. You teach people how to treat you by what you allow. When you choose yourself, you set a standard that echoes beyond you. You become an example not through words, but through action. You show others that it is possible to be kind without being consumed, to be loving without being lost. There is power in knowing when to leave. There is grace in no longer arguing with those committed to misunderstanding you. There is freedom in releasing the need to be liked by people who do not respect you. Your life is too sacred for constant defense. As you continue on this path, you will attract those who meet you with honesty, who listen without waiting to respond, who celebrate your light instead of dimming it. These connections may be fewer, but they will be deeper. They will feel like rest, not resistance. Remember, you are allowed to protect your joy. You are allowed to choose peace over familiarity. You are allowed to walk away without explaining your wounds. The world will try to convince you that endurance is virtue, that loyalty means staying no matter the cost, but your spirit knows better. Your spirit knows that staying where you are diminished is a slow form of self-abandonment. Choose yourself again and again, even when it is uncomfortable. Especially when it is uncomfortable. Growth rarely feels gentle at first, but it always leads to truth. And truth, once embraced, becomes a refuge no one can take from you. One day you will look back and realize the moment you let go was the moment your life began to open. The air felt lighter. Your heart felt stronger. And you finally understood that cutting toxic people out of your life was not an ending, but a powerful beginning. Your energy is sacred. Stop giving it to those who misuse it, because every moment of your attention carries life within it. Energy is not just what you do. It is what you feel, what you think, what you carry silently inside your chest. When you give it away carelessly, you do not always notice the loss at first. It happens slowly through constant explaining, constant forgiving, constant adjusting, until one day you realize you are exhausted without understanding why. Some people consume energy without ever intending to return it. They arrive with endless needs, endless complaints, endless chaos, and they leave you feeling smaller than before. They may not raise their voices or openly disrespect you. Sometimes they simply take, expecting your patience, your understanding, your emotional labor as if it were unlimited. Over time, you begin to feel drained after every interaction, yet you keep showing up, telling yourself it is your responsibility, telling yourself that kindness means endurance. But sacred things are not meant to be endlessly accessible. They are meant to be honored. Your energy